theorycraft, find new strategies, new heroes which are viable, which people haven't thought of yet. And that's something which is scary going to the main event, because who knows what they've been practicing in scrims, who knows what is going to be coming Navi's way, and that's something which maybe even if they lose game 1, they have a set strategy to use for game 2 if they get down.
Yeah. And we're almost there when the countdown hits 30. The players will be loaded into the game, and then when we come back, we'll be joining them in the bans and picks. So Cloud9, the big question for me is, can they handle the pressure? They haven't been here before.
Yeah, this is the first time. It's going to be tough for them. I mean, this team is famous for not getting many first places, but getting a lot of second places. And that is maybe a sign that pressure hits them really hard. Maybe this is Navi's turn to take it.
Or maybe it's just enough pressure to push them over into the tournament. As we join the players in game, it's Navi. This is Cloud9. And into the bans and picks we go. The first series of today, Navi versus Cloud9. We already have the bans out, Gods, and the first pick for Cloud9 is going to be the Doom.
Yeah, straight to the Doom. With Cloud9, it's, I think, a good pick, because they run it both for Envy in the safe lane and the off lane as well for Bone 7, so you don't really know what's coming your way. Straight into the Faceless Void goes Navi, though, so they're not messing around. I think they were probably expecting the Doom first pick as well with this draft.
The Doom is something that Cloud9 learned when they went to play WPCA 2014, a tournament they didn't do so well in. They qualified the group stage, but did everyone qualify the group stage there? No, I think they...
Yeah, they got to the main event.
Yeah, and then they lost there, exactly.
The group stage did poorly, lost the first round.
Exactly. So they come back and they say, well, what did you learn from China? And he's like, well, the Doom is the most overpowered hero there is right now. And they firmly believe in that, and they are trying to put him in every single lineup with, I would say, quite a good success.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the other thing nice to look at here is the bans. Cloud9 actually do ban out the Dendi Tinker and the Enigma, two heroes which Navi have been kind of going towards constantly when needed. I think this is where Navi's actually had their success. We've talked about the Razor stats. It has not been too good for Navi, but Dendi's Tinker is one game on its own. Puppy's Enigma, I mean, it's Puppy's Enigma, so...
Yeah, it took him a while there, Navi, and Puppy is of course the captain, so he'll be drafting the heroes to pick up the second hero for their lineup. It's Mirana. It's a great hero to have on any team really, but also importantly it kind of removes it from Cloud9's arsenal there. Shiva, what do you think of that?
Well, both Sing Sing and Envy play Mirana very well, so it is definitely a good hero to remove from them. And on top of that, Cloud9 is a team that when they're actually fighting, they try to run away a bit, disengage, and then go back in. And I think that both Mirana and Faceless Void are going to make that very tough to do.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Cloud9's playstyle, it's very kind of keep away, split push heavy. They've kind of taken that split push style that Alliance used last year, but changed it up, made their own flavor of it, and avoid fights, take towers when they can. They'll always get the better of a trade. Like, you think you're getting a kill or two off of them, but meanwhile, somewhere else on the map, they're getting a ton of farm, not just on their core heroes, on AUI, on support. They're pushing down 2 other towers somewhere on the map, and that's where their second pick, Shadow Shaman, really works to their favor. They would have seen yesterday how effective this hero was. Probably AUI will be playing a very greedy, farm-oriented Shadow Shaman here, and I think this is a good pick for Cloud9.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it proved to work yesterday, but at the same time, Navi might or might not be happy about these picks, but the one that's probably going to be happy is Kvothe, because he's not playing Razor this time. Yeah. Most likely he's going to be getting that Mirana. Of course, it can be a Dendi Mirana as well.
Could be a Kuroki Mirana. They've run the Kuro
They run the Kuro
support
Mirana as well. Well, maybe, I mean, maybe he's praying for the other team to run Razor. I'm not sure Cloud9 is going to. Cloud9 thinks Razor is not a good hero. I was talking to Sing Sing and Eternal MB just before, after the group stages, and they were like, oh, don't really understand why so many people pick that hero. Granted, yesterday it worked really well, but Cloud9 is definitely not scared of him.
I mean, you can see there the concentration on Cloud9's faces is there, just in the bans and picks, and actually it looked like Eternal Envy was the captain doing the bans and picks, and it used to be more Pylai Dai a while ago, I would say, but maybe they just communicate and it doesn't really matter who's pressing the buttons. But we go into the next phase of the bans, and they're going to remove the Visage Navi from Cloud9, which is pretty typical. It's what you do, just removing that dangerous combo that Cloud9 can bring in, which is the Visage and also the Drow Ranger, so that won't be happening. And on the other side, they're going to be focusing still on the supports. They removed the Enigma, which Puppey likes to play, and then Sand King and Ancient Apparition are going to be removed. So targeting these supports, and they have a pretty strong lineup already, I would say, Cloud9. I would be very comfortable going into my first game of this series with the Cloud9 lineup if I was on their team, just because it makes sense. It's what's been working, and they can certainly play it well.
Yeah, you've got the Doom, you've got the ability to push down towers, and that's something Na'Vi lacks right now. They haven't actually got any follow-up pushing power. They haven't actually got also the ability to take down Roshan. Being on the Dire side, you generally want to get some ability that helps you, whether it's the Death Prophet, the Shadow Shaman, the Templar Assassin for the minus armor. Something Na'Vi are probably maybe going to go towards with this third or fourth pick, and I think Death Prophet may be a hero which could Na'Vi would maybe kind of see from yesterday that worked out well and maybe consider pulling out here.
It's good that they mentioned the Roshan. We talked about how EG gets a lot of Roshans per game, and they did that on the Ursa game. I think they took 4 or 5. Na'Vi on the other side is the team that does the least Roshans per game, only 0.7, mostly because they favor the Radiant side and they like to play on that more. And of course, when you're Radiant, you don't get to do many Roshans, but also because they don't consider that a huge priority. They will try and trade for towers or for kills, and not necessarily for the big guy with the Aegis.
Yeah, they've been playing like a lot of Tinker and stuff, which is not really a Roshan-based lamp as well, so it's like you don't really get those opportunities to go for it. The other thing is, I mean, Wisp, I think Na'Vi's most picked hero is still in the pool, so Cloud9 say, look, you haven't been doing that well with Wisp, we're not that worried about it, so they leave it in there if Na'Vi want to try and pick it up here.
I'm actually kind of surprised the Skywrath Mage is still in. Both of these teams have actually had a very good record with it. Even for Cloud9 is their most picked up hero, and they have like 75% win rate with it or something like that. So, and even Na'Vi also 60% win rate. They're both doing really well, but ignoring it here for now.
Yeah, but if you look at the bans in the second stage, both bans make a lot of sense. You get the Sand King and the AA that combo so well with Faceless Void. They create so much teamfight potential that Cloud9 will want to get away from that. And on the Na'Vi side, they ban the Visage, which pretty much ruins the Drow Visage combo, and they stop the Naga Siren because this is one of those heroes that even if you have Faceless Void 6-slotted, Naga Siren can still sip away and just push your towers.
But yeah, I agree with you, Shiva, as well. If the Skywrath Mage can still work very well on the Cloud9 lineup, so the fact it's still there, it's a good hero to put with the Shadow Shaman, because that's, you know, it helps with the rotations early on for the kills. Also, the Shadow Shaman will be the one pushing towers, and you want that Skywrath just to nuke someone down. You know, it's very unfortunate. You probably won't be able to catch a Faceless Void in a Chrono because he's pretty fast, even if you do slow him. But certainly, it's a good hero, and we are going to see Na'Vi pick up an Enchantress. Big pickup for them. This is definitely, Puppey will be happy.
This is good. This is the kind of change in style I think Na'Vi needed coming into the main event. We saw a bit of Enchantress hero there, but they were much more Treant, Wisp, more slow-paced passive support. This is what won them TI, well, TIs in the past. This is what got them at least far in those tournaments to the grand finals. Puppey's Enchantress, his jungling, his rotations around the map early on. This is Puppey's probably what he's most well known for, is Chen is Enchantress, and it's a good hero to pull out here in game 1.
And it's going to bring a little bit of that push, as you were talking about. Can it stand the Shadow Shaman wards? Because as it is right now, Shadow Shaman pops the wards, and there's no clear or easy way to clear them up until later in the game, where maybe the Mirana or the Faceless Void can one-shot them. Maybe Na'Vi should bring something to counter that. It's really hard. Something that helps a lot. I don't think Na'Vi is going to go for that. But Leech Armor actually makes the ward's damage much less powerful as well, just because the extra 8 armor that you can get will considerably reduce the damage that the wards can make.
I don't think you're too worried if you're trying to go like push towers about wards being dropped, because you can just back off, wait for them to expire, or sit back with your Mirana or Enchantress and just click them down. If you're forced to use your Serpent Wards defensively to protect towers, you're already in a bad spot as far as the team with the Shadow Shaman dropping wards. So the bigger issue is Cloud9 are taking down towers, and Na'Vi don't have good clear for the not good wave clear, and also okay.
Talk about combinations with the Faceless Void.
This is interesting. It does mean we see the carry Void for her Vost, and
no, maybe remember Kuroki used to play support Elder Titan quite a bit.
Yes.
And it was with an Enchantress. That's actually what they used to run back then.
Yeah.
So they could still be a Fanic Elder Titan, don't get me wrong, but the combination of those two heroes with the slow and having the spirit on you, reducing your armor, reducing your magical damage, makes for a lot of damage output potential.
This hero very much geared towards countering the Morphling. Morphling late game gets like 25, 30, 40 armor just based on his agility gain. So entirely counter pick to help burst down the Morphling, make the hero a lot more killable. In general, it's probably a really good pick here, because right now the Morphling's going to be probably Envy's hero, and that's something which they don't have an answer to until this Elder Titan pick comes in, so it makes Morphling a whole lot easier to kill.
And also, Morphling never goes for any armor item. Never at all. You never see a Curassian Morphling.
I've seen it once, and it was against the Elder Titan, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you force him to go for something that you normally don't go for, so even if it's only that, you're already kind of taking advantage of the game. And the Ember Spirit for Sing Sing.
Yeah.
I think that's a really nice hero to pick up, certainly. Sing Sing, like we've had 2 people play the Ember Spirit this tournament and played it amazingly, and it's Ferrari and Sing Sing. We're going to get to see them both today, so just kicking off Sing Sing on that Ember Spirit, going to help with all the team fight situations that Na'Vi are going to want to put pressure on when it comes to the towers, because Elder Titan, even though, he removes armor, he's such a disruptive hero around the tier 1 towers, tier 2 towers, just because he can put you in place, and also he does help a little bit with the clearing of the wave. So nice hero there, and Sing Sing's been playing Ember Spirit fantastically, so this is going to put a bit of pressure onto Na'Vi.
Yeah, definitely, because Cloud9, they've got this late game, so to say. Na'Vi has a lot of pressure on to making that Enchantress work for them before, like, everybody reaches level 6, before everybody gets their 4 items up. They're gonna need a lot of rotations, which is also, of course, why they ban out the Treant, so that if they do have a successful game, they can actually make it work and actually get a kill off of it, or maybe a tower if they're lucky, if they have a big army for Enchantress creeps. But they need to rotate, and they are the ones to be the aggressor this game for sure.
Yeah, and looking at Na'Vi right now, Cloud9 is trying to ban the last hero. What would you ban if you were them, gods?
It's hard to say based on, like, you don't know whether Mirana's going to be a Havost hero or a Dendi hero, or if it's going support. Similarly, the Elder Titan, so I think it's actually quite hard to say what Cloud9 are worried about. It's going to be a Scarith Mage. So I was thinking maybe Shadow Demon for the Shadow Demon Mirana combo, but Scarith Mage just offers a lot of magic damage. So we see our first Lina of the tournament.
I like it.
Okay. It's all about the burst damage here. You have the Elder Titan Lina to just try and blow up the Morphling, if you can ever lock the Morphling in place, which with the Chronosphere you sure as hell can do. So to me, this is one of the highest burst damage support heroes out there. It kind of suffers because it's hard to have good positioning and just trying to get in a good place to do so, but
it's a hard support to play in terms of bringing a stable game, just because of the stun. And gods, I said Na'Vi were going to bring some surprises. You said, well, maybe, but not big ones. I think Alina's a big surprise. It's a great hero, and also if you get the Aghanims upgrade, you pretty much already potentially won the game, but it will actually help the ulti go through BKB. So interesting. Na'Vi's lineup wants to get online early. They want to fight and they want to blow you up, and this is the Na'Vi that we know. So Cloud9 respond with an Earthshaker, which is a great pickup as a support. That will be very disruptive to the push lineup of Na'Vi when they want to fight. Going through an Ember Spirit and a Earthshaker, that's a hard 2 heroes to fight into, and hopefully if Cloud9 play it right, they can have Eternal Envy farming on that Morphling for quite a while.
Yeah, to me the key pick is going to be the Doom. Like, this is, if he does well, gets his farm, him farming up a Vlad's and Assault Crest to help deal with the Elder Titan aura is going to be crucial for Cloud9. So if Doom gets completely shut down, I think that's where Puppey may focus a lot of his efforts, because Genki and Ember Spirit mid, impossible once he hits level 6, Genki and Morphling not really possible, so I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this Doom, because now they're going to look at this and be like, Doom is the key hero for Cloud9.
Yeah. At least it's not Havost Lina, right? We saw that one.
Yeah, well, he drafted that game as well and picked himself Havost Lina. It will be Dendi on the Mirana. He'll be going mid, and we're just waiting for the players to load into game, and as soon as they do, we'll send it over, because the Aoi 2000 picks up a Shadow Shaman. Bone 7 will be taking that Doom off lane. And it looks like they've all picked, so we're ready to go. We're going to send it over to our commentators. We'll be joining Toby and Cinderin as they take us into the match.
Thank you very much. We are live here, Cloud9 versus Na'Vi. It is day 2 of the tournament, Cinderin, and this is when the stuff gets real. This is when teams get eliminated from the international.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that just transform when they're playing under pressure. I think Na'Vi is one of the best examples of a team that has a history of sometimes underperforming, dropping into a lower bracket, and then when it matters the most, they pull out their best performance. Perhaps C9 is a little bit the opposite, like Bruno was talking about in the panel. When they're under pressure, sometimes they crumble. They like to say that themselves. I believe it's mainly Envy talking about that. But they know how much is on the line and how important it is. So hopefully for them, this is going to be one of the series where it matters a lot and where they pull off a great performance.
Yeah, I'm hoping for both teams to play a great performance. Really, I know a lot of people here right in the key arena be sitting there with the same thoughts as me. I love both teams. I love both teams. To see one of these teams go down is already going to be really, really sad. But either way, I'm just hoping for a really great best-of-3 series that just displays why these two teams have so many big fans all around the world. But we're going to get ourselves into the game now as the foghorn gets to sound the creep wave. We're going to spawn out. So as far as the lanes go, running through, you know, it's rather appropriate. I'll do Navi. We'll have Dendi not actually playing the mid solo in this game. He's actually up on the top lane, taking the role as the Mirana. That puts the supporting Kuro onto Alina. I'm happy to see him back there too. It's an old signature hero of Kuro's. Hasn't been played as much of late, but he's going to be in that role today. Vorst in the number 4 position and mid solo role, playing the face of Support. Puppy will be the rotating Enchantress, and that leaves Aphonic actually playing the off-lane Elder Titan and not Kuro support, as was mentioned before.
And on Cloud9's side, no surprise here, it will be Bone 7 in the offlane on the Doom, Pilot Eye on the Earthshaker. In the mid lane, we've got SingSing playing on his signature Ember Spirit, and in the safe lane, it will be AY 2000 as well as Eternal Envy playing Shadow Shaman and Morphling respectively.
There's going to be an interesting fun lane in the mid, man. You got Vorst versus SingSing, the Ember versus the Faceless Void. And Ember Spirit, we know what SingSing loves to build on this hero. He likes having the high level up in the Flame Guard as well as the Searing Change, which is going to be difficult for a Vorst when he comes in really close up against SingSing. He'll always just rely on like backtrack to keep him out. While Bone 7 cops a little bit of harassment up on that top lane. But it's that middle lane of which everything turns around when this happens from Puppy. He just brings in the Satyr, he's slowly chipping away at SingSing, and SingSing can't afford to have this happen to him. He went the PMS to start with, which means he needs to have some extra help to make sure he can get to that bottle and then start controlling Vorst.
And Havost managed to get a good time lock there as well.
That's not the random generator that SingSing wants to be facing up against. He actually got the first point up in time lock. It's like a Vorst wants to try and man fight up against an Ember Spirit.
And in addition to that, of course, with all the help coming in from Puppy already, and with Havost starting out nicely on his own. Okay. Well, it is level 2 now, so 15% chance per attack. And of course, we should mention this is a pseudo-random ability, so if you get really lucky...
Trouble bottom lane.
Oh, wait a minute.
This could be first blood right now. The last attack from Envy will get it. Aoi as well as Envy. It's a very, very safe lane with the Shadow Shaman as well as the Morphling. And they're able to capitalize and bring down that off-lane of Funnick.
This is one weakness that Navi's draft has already. I think a hero like Elder Titan is one of the great offlaners on paper, but he's just so much worse on Dire than on Radiant, and you just see C9 taking great advantage of it right now. He can't really pull the creep wave, is struggling to even reach level 2. I mean, he's currently got 41 experience points and died for that. Sometimes it's okay to die in the offlane if you get like a level and a half or something, or 2 levels out of it. You'll see some offlaners just deliberately trading their life away for a better position in the lane, but Funnick isn't seeming to get anything down here, whereas Bone 7 being Radiant, he's already level 3.
Yeah, man. Look at mid lane CS. I'm actually really surprised. I know Vorst has obviously been having a great time with a couple of nice time locks over on SingSing, but you've got this position where he's 18-3 up against a 10-for-1. The Void is in 4.5 levels. Puppy's going to be coming out of the jungle at some point, because you know it's an Enchantress. He's got to be smoke ganking somewhere across the map. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see someone going down, because that Chrono's going to lock in that Ember Spirit, and he'll go absolutely nowhere. Also very, very smart play coming out there from the Earthshaker. Pilot Eye rotated over and used the Fissure to stun out the Wild Wing. So he didn't have to put himself at any kind of peril and make sure that Tornado disappears from the lane. So SingSing actually has some kind of way of fighting here in the mid without battling the elements as well.
But yeah, you're right. This is some smart laning coming out from Navi in the beginning, putting the Void in the mid lane, which I guess Cloud9 weren't expecting, and neither were we, especially with Havost on it. He usually plays the safe lane position, but in this particular game, Mirana's one weakness in the lane is that she has really weak base damage, and if you're playing up against an Ember Spirit who levels up Flame Guard, you also can't kill him with your magic damage. So the call from Navi here is, all right, our Void is going to be doing great in the mid lane since he has good base damage and can just stand and sustain, and we'll help him out a little bit with the Enchantress. And then in the safe lane, they can also put more pressure on the Doom, simply because Mirana Lina is a flat-out better lane to put pressure than a Void Lina would have been.
We have movement coming out for, actually no we don't. We have Puppy coming down to check for the 4-minute rune. I thought that Centaur was coming with him, but it was just aggroed. Why is this top lane not really, like, Dendy is only 16 for 9 up on this top lane. There's more CS coming out from Envy on his safe lane as well as Horst in the middle lane. What's going wrong on this top lane for Na'Vi?
I haven't been following it that closely, but judging from Bone7's farm, I would imagine he has been disrupting the creep wave a little bit with some pulls. Maybe Na'Vi have tried to focus a lot more on harassing the Doom rather than farming, and then oftentimes we will be trading some CS as the Murano in doing that. And the third thing is Bone7 ate a chain lightning creep. And he might have simply just messed up the lane equilibrium a lot with that. It's actually a really intelligent play picking up that ability here, I think. When you're in the off lane, it's a natural and easy way for you to push the lane if you want to, or to secure some easy CS. You see it right there, and it's actually working out really nice. I think it's the first time I've even seen that.
Unfortunately, for the first time I watch it, I'm seeing, okay, now we've got the 2 CS. He used it and then allowed both Denny as well as Koro to get 1 to 9 piece. But either way, 5 minutes into it, that creep wave is so close to Bone7. We get the Light Strike already connect, but Denny is in no position to throw out Nara, and also with the Earthshaker from Highline 9 hovering nearby, we go back to a very old school combination. We just have the Earthshaker babysitting. Now Light Strike away from Kuro gonna miss. This could be real trouble for Na'Vi. Puppy coming in from the side. The Hellcat trying to smash, looking for a kill. Denny too low, leaves himself away to low life, and now the Troll Trapper. Puppy's gonna try and do this solo up against Bone7, trying to get the Hellbear in front with the body block. There goes your Clap, slowing him down, but he does not have enough damage to kill off the Doombringer, but he does keep Kuro and Dendy alive on that top lane.
Yeah, good play from Puppy to come in there and save his lane, basically. Both Kuro and Dendy missing crucial spells here, so maybe a little bit of a warm-up situation for them. We usually don't see Kuro missing spells like this, and the arrow from Dendy was a little bit off the mark as well, but they might be getting back in shape. At least the good thing for Na'Vi is the mid lane. You were talking about how Horst was winning the lane by about 10 CS. You know what? He's winning it by 22 now, and it's just the equilibrium that he's been managing to keep on his side of the river. And it's very hard for Sing to go up there and contest the farm, because Horst will just always go into him, just fight him face to face, basically.
Man, it's gonna get a little bit more difficult though. As I'm watching Horst, he's actually not going in for what I thought was going to be like early attack or something along these lines. He's actually going straight in for just a straight hand of Midas. So with this farm, it's almost like he needs to switch himself out of the lane and give some extra space. I don't know if you want to just switch Dendy in towards that mid lane to go up against an Ember, because that's just be suicide. But I think they're looking for a Chrono. Yeah, there it is. Chrono into Arrow. Where is the Arrow? Here it comes in now, and it will connect over on Sing Sing. The Flame Guards are protecting him a hell of a lot with the extra Starfall. Look at Sing Sing. Tanks up the entire thing, Spirit's back behind the tower, and now you see the power of that level 3 Flame Guard.
Yeah, it was unfortunate timing here for Na'Vi that they went in with the Chrono during the Flame Guard, else that is an easy kill, but blocking all the damage from the arrow as well as the Starstorm here from Dendy, I wouldn't call it a wasted rotation, because sure, they did put a lot of pressure, but at the end of the day, they use a Chrono, they commit about a minute time on their safe lane Mirana. Giving Kuro some space top is going to be great since he's close to level 6, but
he's actually a higher level than Dendy.
He's higher level than Dendy now, and I don't think it's that good of a start for Na'Vi if their Mirana doesn't get good farm. It's great for points for getting a lot like this. It's definitely not a problem.
Middle lane Horst, he just jumps himself over the top of the fissure. See, I'm kind of okay with this top lane. Dendy doesn't have a high amount of levels, okay, that's never really a great thing. But at the same time, getting that level 6 over on the Lina, when you open up that level of burst damage, kills like what happened on the top lane won't be able to happen again for C9, and Na'Vi will be able to get the pick off.
But at the same time, it's at the trade-off of a level 6 Doom at 7 minutes, so
true.
It's not the best trade in the world, and this is, as Gods was pointing out, it's probably the key hero for Cloud9 in this matchup to be able to deal with, in particular, the Void, so they have some lockdown or reliable lockdown and teamfight initiation out of him. And his counterpart on Navi's side in the offlane, going to come back to that right now. Funnick is level 3, 8 minutes in. And this is the Elder Titan issue in the Dire offlane. He doesn't really have a plan B. If you're tied, you can maybe stack the Ancients, and you can start farming them with Anchor Smash when you're level 3 or level 4, or you can just flat out go into the jungle. But Elder Titan really doesn't have abilities that are that good for it. So if he gets countered out hard, he really does.
It's gang time. Funnick's being attacked, but what's happening right now is Na'Vi actually picked up a triple Centaur. One of them's timed out in the meantime, but the smoke movement's now going to break.
He's in trouble.
He didn't move out. The Spirit will come in. The Searing Chaser from Sing Sing kills off Koro, and then a follow-up stop. Funnick will finally drop him down. And Sing Sing, well, he's chasing after Funnick. How much damage has he got? Invis through. He's actually hunting him Invis into the Searing Chaser. The Warbling waveform over. Void Chrono back over towards Albie, trying to get some kind of collateral, and they will be able to pick it up. It's a 2 for 2 while Danny on the top lane, running, and he's doomed up and killed off by Bone7. C9 There was technically one, an even trade in the bottom lane. Now the TP's double back coming towards the top lane. Both of them thought he could walk past the tower.
Oh, what a great duel.
He actually just walked straight through.
Really, really nice eating the tree and cutting the path there. I think he might have even survived anyway, but still a great display of awareness here coming out from Bone 7. And this is the problem with the top lane. When Doom is level 6 and you have a Mirana, it actually, even if Mirana is level 8, if you get doomed, Doom can just run you down and kill you. You don't really have any sort of response. Very low hit point hero. Sure, Dendy has somewhat decent armor, but it's not going to be enough, so...
Yeah.
He's now going to rotate into the mid lane. He's currently level 5.
I'm not sure about this, man.
This is going to be another hot lane. Dendy's pretty much struggling no matter where he goes. There's no easy lane anymore.
It kind of feels like it's a suicide. Funny's having real trouble up on top lane too. He got hit a little bit, and Bone 7 just keeps going with that lightning. But Koro, again, missing on the Light Strike Array. If he goes able to nail that one, maybe with Laguna Blade that have enough damage to get through the Doom.
Could have got him down to half if they used everything.
Dire's bottom tower
He has 1250 health. There's actually no solution to the Doom for Na'Vi right now, apart from landing a Chrono. I don't think they can kill him unless, okay, if they chain all their other spells on multiple heroes, but there's no duo from Na'Vi that can kill the Void. The Elder Titan and Lina can't. They need the Void there.
Yep.
Or a perfect arrow from Dendy could maybe be enough, but I'm not even sure that's going to be enough together with Koro's Burst. They need to get through 1200 health on a level 4 Scorched Earth. He's getting a lot. He already has the Buckler as well, working on that mechanism for his team.
Life is getting a lot more difficult here for Na'Vi. And of course, like, dude, I saw him on the bottom lane before. He was forced all the way back to base by Eternal Envy, just because Eternal Envy waveformed and attacked him a couple of times. And Envy is still free farming the bottom lane. It's a 77 for 20 CS, I mean 78 now for 20 CS over on Eternal Envy. Like, that's a lot of farm to have over on a Morphling. He's about to pick up his ultimate orb down here as well. He's freely farming, you're gonna have a Lincoln Sphere before a 15-minute mark. This is really problematic for Na'Vi, because they're not going to be able to control the Morphling. You try and talk about how much damage have they got to kill off the Doombringer, they've still got control problems between Sing Sing as well as Eternal Envy.
It's one issue Na'Vi will have to deal with later on, is that they need to kind of choose their target, unless if Cloud9 just serves them all on a platter and they get a great Chrono on multiple ones. They need to choose who they want to burst down. I don't think killing the Morphling is actually going to be as big of a problem as you might expect, simply because of the Elder Titan's Astral Spirit Natural Order combo. If he gets Chrono together with that and you hit a Laguna Blade, Morphling pretty much just disappears and has 0 armor as well.
Yeah, there it is. Original setup, Serial Chase to follow up. Light Strike Array again avoided there by Sing Sing. Is a little bit too short and pumpy. Well, he finds Pilot over on the side. At the same time, Courage was a long way back. Pilot died. He is going to TP himself back out to safety. Even though he does have Sing Sing and Bone 7, they see the response from Na'Vi coming in. And of course, with a prepped up Chrono, they're not gonna play with fire. They don't need to. They are so far ahead right now. Their gold is up to about 3,000. Their experience is stretching back up to about 1,500. It doesn't seem like much, but in a game when you're running cores like Morphling, Ember Spirit, and Doombringer, these guys are very, very difficult to kill off.
And a guy who's been relatively quiet so far this game, AUI 2000, is now close to level 6 on the Shadow Shaman. I imagine he's going to be a lot more loud after that. He'll be looking to push down the mid tower probably with his first set of Mass Serpent wards when they come up here soon.
I like this as well, the man who he's farming right next to, Mr. Point Booster, running around on the Ember Spirit. This is something which C9 really prefer. They rush Guardy over on their Ember Spirits a lot of times, especially when they feel ahead. And I got a funny feeling we're seeing that again now.
He can afford to not go for a heavy damage build when he has a Doom and a Morphling and they know how well the Morphling farms. So Sing Sing is playing a little bit more of a control Ember Spirit, I want to call it. When you get the Skadi and you apply the slow on everyone with the Sleight of Fists, it gets very easy to chase down targets and just control the flow of the fight. So once again, I feel like in this game for now, there's a lot of pressure on the guy who just jumped in mid. This is an easy kill on AU1 unless there's any sort of defense. There's not going to turn around.
Hooks for the series change, then he doesn't leave himself up. Now Sing Sing, he's in too deep. Laguna Blade from Koro allows Na'Vi to pick up 2 kills. The Saturn Blast coming out from Bone 7, but he can't see Denny, the Moonlight Shadow, protecting up Na'Vi at the moment. And Bone 7's forced back to his side of the river. In the meantime, though, Eternal Envy has almost brought down the tier 2 tower to bottom lane, and the TPing support in, but Envy, he's just going to replicate back out again, back to his own jungle.
Does he have anything on the Courier? No, but he's 1,000 short from the Lincolns. This is a very early Rocher from Na'Vi as well. Not really that early actually, but more like they didn't set it up perfectly in terms of how many kills definitely going to secure it. They've got Chronosphere on cooldown. They're in a decent position to do it with, of course, with the level 3 on Untouchable on Puppy's Enchantress, as well as Ghost with the Mask of Madness. But it's a kill that's going to take quite a bit of time. But as long as Cloud9 have no idea it's going on, it's probably going to go Navi's way for free. So actually, really nice play by them to turn one kill on Cincy into a Roche here, which is, you know, I guess it could be expected, but this wasn't an easy call to make.
Yeah.
And the counterplay could come. But
it's going to be really quick, and at the end of the day, they are just too far away. They don't have an Earth Shaker there, so they can't control the action around the pit. With no spirit inside the pit, there's no way to really scout out and see what's going on. Because Sing Sing was using, of course, those to try and survive in the middle lane before. So it's now 5-4, 14 minutes in. We see the first Roshan take a fall. And the players just try and back themselves up, especially Navi. You get a couple of kills, but you still need to make sure this turns into key items. You've already got Arcade Boots over on the Lina. What do we got from Puppy? He's got Erd, he's got Treads, but he still needs to go into a couple more support items for his team. And Vorst is great. He's got now an Aegis Immortal with his Mask of Madness, so he can be a little bit more over-aggressive, but he still needs to find a higher level of damage than just a Mask of Madness.
And he will need some sort of defensive items, because playing against this kind of lineup, I think a BKB is absolutely mandatory. Both the Fissure is great against Void when he opens with the Chrono. It's one of the easiest counterplays and one of the most reliable ones you can have against Void. There's a Shadow Shaman who I guess we assume will be going for a Blink Dagger as his next item. And then there's the Doom where, yeah, okay, it still goes through BKB, but if you're BKB, maybe you can actually reset and come back in the fight, because the physical damage from Cloud9 isn't there just yet. Eternal Envy starting with a defensive item in the Lincoln Sphere won't be able to do so much damage. And as we said, Ember Spirit going for more of a control-oriented build, so could definitely work out very well for Vos to get a BKB as his next choice here. And want to point out too, Phonic has recovered very nicely. He's currently 8.5.
He has, but he's still behind the Doombringer. Obviously, you're always going to be behind the Doombringer when he goes 4 points to Valor. But the fact that Doombringer is already bringing the mech to the fight and Phonic is not, this is a big problem, because it means C9's team fight at this point is superior. It's superior to Na'Vi. Of course, Na'Vi do bring in your Enchantress army, which does help them out, but having that burst heal as well as armor, you really do, well, especially on Titan. So hey, some of it's also removed. But I'm still feeling like C9 have the advantage when it comes to the team fights.
And there's one thing we haven't touched upon so much now that you mentioned the Enchantress. Puppy generally plays really aggressive early game Enchantresses, and in some games he plays more farm-oriented, but I don't think this is one of the games in which you should just flat out
put that on hold, man. Massive Moors are coming in, and Sing Sing, he's looking for the kill on Goro. The Shadow's going to protect him for the moment. Sing Sing just jumping back. He's currently Massive Moors down. He's down to the Vorst. The bitch was too early from Pine.
Oh, he gets doomed!
They doom him up, but he doesn't have mana for a Chrono anyway. He's actually soaking through something because he has the Aegis Immortal. How much physical damage can they do? Owie goes down. Then he can turn back over. There's one of Vorst. He wants to die so he can have the mana so he can Chrono, but he can't do it. They're mopping up the mana surf Vorst in the meantime, and now finally, a Vorst goes down. It was the intention, just came way too late.
Is under attack.
And then Eternal Envy wasn't even there for Cloud9. So they trade one support for the Aegis, which I think is a great trade for Cloud9, in addition to getting half the tier 2 tower mid, forcing Na'Vi to go for rotations here. And they didn't really accomplish too much out of that, Na'Vi. Yes, they didn't use the Chrono. I would still say good play all around from Cloud9.
Envy soloing Goro in the middle lane. He made a replica just in case anyone else was going to come to him, but he knew he could waveform in, had more than enough damage to kill a Goro after having those 2 points up with adaptive strike.
Dire's top tower
Envy's
is under
definitely
attack.
getting very big, and you see now Cloud9, they realize what position Na'Vi are in, and they will be going for the tower here.
Watch the top lane, man. He's going to jump in for the Chrono.
He can't do it alone.
You're right. He's got a harpy. Who needs much more? Oh, he's got the creep wave. Is he going to leave sometime? The tower goes down, and there's your jump in. He can catch Cloud9 and Sing Sing, but then Fissure actually holding him there with the totem on Dendy. He's burning up.
Oh,
now
no!
He's actually locked in next to Sing Sing. He doesn't want to be here. The harpy is going to turn over. Where's their extra damage? Slide and Fist, and he's still alive. The Starfall, and the Impetus. One last jump in for Void. Able to pick off Sing Sing. The support from C9 just backed themselves up. Pilot had nothing more to
Dire's
give.
bottom tower is
I
under
can imagine
attack.
Dendy was getting really scared. They get stuck in the Chronosphere with it.
Dire's bottom tower has
Shaman, that was not going to end well for you. He starts battling up against Korra, but while Korra's got Laguna Blade, Shadow Shaman is food to the Lina.
He still did manage to get the tower though, and the top tower has fallen as well, so Cloud9 are getting way more map control than Na'Vi now. Na'Vi's still looking to take their first tower. We're 19 minutes into the game and they're playing an Enchantress, and you were talking about the Enchantress army. I feel like this is the point when the Enchantress army starts becoming irrelevant. We're close to the 20-minute mark, the creeps don't scale, so...
Yeah.
Cloud9's items are going to make Enchantress a lot less relevant at this point.
This is one of those times where like Enchantress turns into an aura hero as well as a pure damaging hero, and you got to try and get a little bit more space for the Impetus during the fights. Unfortunately for the Enchantress, she's nowhere near the amount of farm required to even get close towards her Aghanim Scepter, so the buff up isn't there, which means he really is just becoming a bit more of a scouter and maybe can find some good Centaur stuff. But holding onto your own creep wave, holding onto your own army, is really difficult when you've already lost your tier 1 tower in the top lane. So you need to be able to safely get back out into your jungle. But you see C9's movement here. They've left a nice observer ward, which is watching any movement inside the Dire side jungle. And then anywhere else they can get nice deep observer wards, they want to watch the Na'Vi rotation. That's the only ward inside the Dire side jungle. They left sentries across the top lane instead.
And Na'Vi are nervous about this top lane. They really don't know what's going on. Dendi tried to scout with the arrow, and they're still not feeling confident going up there. So they'll try to go on the aggressive instead in the enemy jungle with Havost in the front lines here.
It's really smart.
This kill for Na'Vi needs to work out. It needs to not just be a kill, but it needs to transition into a tier 1 push. And if they catch out the right targets, I think they can get away with it. But at the same time, don't underestimate the ability to reinforce from Cloud9. They do have the Ember Spirit with the TP ready. Morphling has the TP as well. And they have two heroes in a very defensive position in the bottom lane right now.
Moonlight, Shadow, and Smoke being used, so even if the smoke's going to break, they need to run down. Pylai Dai is just sitting on the tree line where it's safe. And Puppey, well, all he can do is just grab himself a new Sata, and they'll force out the bottom lane.
And they just saw Havost breaking the Moonlight Shadow in the bottom lane, so they know exactly what's going on. He got pinged out, they know that Na'Vi is in their own jungle. Now the question is, can Cloud9 make the play? They know exactly what's coming. This is all about who gets the better jungle.
They're TPing inside the trigger line as well, so Na'Vi has no idea about this. Remember, this is nighttime. The field of vision is very, very restricted. And with Envy as well as the Doombringer showing himself and the Spirit as well, Na'Vi have got to make a choice. Either they fight or they back up. Puppey, he heals the Replicant and tries to send it away at the moment. Unfortunately, he's got no tango. He can't cut through the tree line, but he's going to send the Replicant as far out of position as he possibly can.
If Eternal Envy is a bowler, he's going to replicate into that right now and wait for him out.
Dude, he is a bowler. He's got a Lincoln Spear as well as an Eagle Song. You know he wants to try and fight. And now they're actually using his Replicant to scout out a little bit, as well as the Spirit going through the tree line. Avor still has that level 2 Chrono, just begging to be used.
Yeah, Eternal Envy wants to be the one getting jumped on here, as he does have the morph ability, but...
They're waiting. The BKB's flying out right now for Avor. So having that during this fight is going to be so much bigger for Na'Vi.
It's still very crucial that he doesn't have the Aegis anymore, though, because it means that Bone 7 can make the counterplay here with the blink into Doom on the Void, or just cast the Doom really quickly when he jumps in on Void. The cast point should be low enough for Chronosphere not to go off.
Oh, nice visual over on Dendi, but where's the follow-up? They're still not there. They are not risking anything here. Sentry Ward's behind the tower. They want to make sure that no one spots anything.
The thing about this, though, is that Na'Vi are showing their hand completely. They know that Cloud9 know that Na'Vi have 5 heroes down here, so they're just going to split push with Sing Sing. As long as nothing is happening, Cloud9 are getting more out of this. They're farming 2 lanes and Na'Vi are farming 1. They're getting more experience, more gold, and Na'Vi just can't seem to find the right engagement point here. They will need to find an opening soon, or else they're going to have to back out, and that would basically mean that they've wasted a full minute on 4 of their heroes here, which they're definitely not going to be satisfied with.
No, they need kills. This Harpy is trying to do some serious work. Hilarious thing is, too, with the mana pull over on this Harpy is quite easy. Harpy, now he finally comes down. A chance on Mode 7. I think he's just trying to elicit a reaction out of Cloud9, but Cloud9 are not biting the bait here from Na'Vi. This is such good patience from C9. They're using the trees. Pylai is definitely, he's just holding back at the moment. He doesn't have a blink dagger. The only thing he's looking to do is call off a fissure in case there's an overextension. But Scorched Earth is now off. The fissure will again connect on Dendi, and this has got to flag the fact that Na'Vi, this Observer Ward is watching every single thing they are doing. Unfortunately for them, they don't have a Sentry Ward here. The only Sentry Ward they planted was back, oh, that's the Radiant one behind the tower. They have no vision, no detection here beyond Spirit and whatever Puppey's able to pick up.
Yeah, the Astral Spirit doing a lot of work here with chasing away Bone 7. And actually Cloud9 are going to concede the tower. A little bit surprising for me. I thought they might have wanted to take this fight, but...
I think they were happy with it, man. They delayed the engagement so far. The amount of money which Sing Sing was able to pick up on the top lane would more than make up for what they lost by waiting on the tower on the bottom lane.
And with Eternal Envy now grabbing himself the Ethereal Blade 23 minutes in, he's going to start looking at single, just solo kills. Puppey, however, Puppey has managed to grab a lot of tank ability, though. With the point booster as well as Overclock, he might actually survive it.
Dendi is really lucky to survive on that top lane just then. Things seem coming in with a high-level Flame Guard. You know, he had to get himself away with 200 life points. The advantage of having those drums and treads there.
Still overall, I guess we should say that just the way the game is developed, I guess it currently plays a bit to Cloud9's advantage there. It's not about the graphs for me, but more about the distribution of farm, where they have 3 out of the 4 top farmers on their team. They have, and the 3 heroes they have are actually cores that scale very well into the late game. Na'Vi have good farm on the Void, but the others are falling behind quite a bit. But at the very least for Na'Vi, their supports, which is something we very often see from them. They make sure to farm their supports, and in some games, Kuro actually starts doing a lot of damage in the late game, even on a hero like Lina, and he's maxed Fear is Soul, so he can do some damage, but let's see.
I like the fact too, like, it's just, okay, you're not getting that much fun. So what do you want to do? You just focus on your primary and your best abilities. So we go straight to the Aghanim Scepter. Poppy's going to do exactly the same thing. They realize they need a timing for the amount of damage output they can pump. So what they do is they just get Kuro and Poppy up to a point when the supports become a major damage problem. So if Pavoris, the man that's on the front line, is taking it up and getting a couple of lucky backtracks, he's going to waste a lot of time at Cloud9, while the supports are the ones pounding into C9. And they use Funnick to basically make sure they get themselves the kill. Now, Roshan's back up again, so Pavoris will give this one a crack. I highly, highly doubt, though, that Cloud9 is going to allow this to happen. They have to be able to have a bit of a search out, someone to scout this out. Unfortunately, what have they got? They got Spirit or Replicant. That's the only 2 ways they find this out without putting themselves at jeopardy.
It was pinged out by Pylon, and the rotation is starting now. There's still no Blink Dagger on this Earthshaker, by the way. He's pretty poor, 25 minutes in, level 7.
The smoke movement coming in, Phone 7. He's looking to make his way into Sentry Wars. He gets revealed, he takes out the Satyr, and the blast comes in. The arrow connects on Phone 7. They're Chrono him. Eternal Envy's trying to fight, no Dandy. Waveform's up. Maybe it's enough for him. Phone 7, he does go down. But Dandy as well, over next to the ancient area. Sing Sing looking at a Voss. The Doom is on, but he can't get back inside the pit. The Fissure is blocking him out. But Voss dies so quickly. Envy with that double damage down. The Echo Slam over for Kuro. Laguna Blade's dead. He never takes down what? Nothing. The Fissure is there as a triple kill for Eternal Envy. The buyback came from a Voss. What, are they wanting to stop the Roshan from being done? Matt Serpent wants it there from Aoi. The Spirit's not making it any easier for them. But there is no way they can jump in there and get out with their life points to contest Roshan. This is the greatest fight they could have ever taken here in this match.
So not only do Na'Vi lose 4 heroes, they also lose Roshan, and they waste a buyback. That probably couldn't have gone any worse, to be honest. And the problem was, the way the fight was initiated by Cloud9, Na'Vi managed to catch down the Doom, but they didn't burst him down fast enough. So he managed to get the Doom off on Hvost, which was actually a really big deal. Even though the Chrono was already used, Hvost wasn't able to continue fighting properly. And at the end of the day, if you Chrono one target, and it's a high-value target like Doom, he has to die before the Chrono ends. And Na'Vi just weren't in position for it, or maybe they thought they could get away with it without committing all their cooldowns, but they ended up backfiring really hard there. Now Poppy, oh!
It doesn't need much more than that, man, and because you have a Replicant, you can just jump yourself in and out so easily. You're not risking your own life points to come in and go for the shotgun hit.
They do secure the denial, so I guess Poppy's presence there actually made quite a difference. But still, Cloud9 getting another tower, more map control, with the Roshan going their way as well. They're looking really good to take this game 1. What Na'Vi have to look for at this point is, well, do they have any smokes actually? There is no smoke available on any of their heroes. How's the store looking? No. 2.5 minutes for the next smoke rotation Na'Vi can pull out. And the problem is the warding that Cloud9 has, they've got a good one around the mid lane on the upper ledge, and they've got one at the bottom rune as well. So Na'Vi moving out without a smoke towards the middle lane area is going to be really difficult. So they're going to have to look for the side lanes. But if they're not showing in the mid lane around that ward, it becomes pretty obvious to Cloud9 that something's happening. But they might still get away with it. Oh, it's going in here. Is there a follow-up? No, there's not. This is
nothing.
Not even close.
He brought all 5 players of C9 to the top lane, but Poppy doesn't want to be around for that.
This is a tower for Cloud9 without throwing the
Spirit
just went out fight. Oh!
Nice for done. Use the Spirit to get out of range and let the Eternal Envy finish the job. The Sleight of Fist of the Searing Chain. After using his Spirit to just get himself just a little bit further up. And this now means the C9 know the Enchantress is down, the Chrono is down, the Tier 2 tower is lost. Na'Vi have to basically look for a trade-off. They can maybe bring down the Tier 1 tower a bit, and looks like Kuro's already trying to force this lane out as quickly as he possibly can.
Tower is under
if
attack.
Na'Vi can get a trade, I think they should be happy with that, all things considered here. But 7 going in with Doom and Shivas.
He has just stopped the horse in his tracks. Eventually, the arrow from this goes up and moving back. The Firelight Eye! The Blink Dagger in for the stop. He's holding a force in position. The swing, he doesn't
Oh!
actually reached that. But he's getting confused up by Phone 7 because he's swallowed the creep. And now he's in trouble. Fallen down. The Rogue will also take a fall. They're all dying on different going to go down here in the mid lane, juking it out with a bit of reply. He waits it out, but it was up on the top lane where Eternal Envy is wreaking havoc. He's looking down at Envy. He's still got the Aegis Immortal, so he wants to go in deeper here, but be happy to die as long as he can kill off Puppey. He's going in so deep, he just goes into the enemy's base. Puppey is the only one alive for Na'Vi anyway, and he zones him out. The urn? Okay, will he let the tick happen? He doesn't have enough mana to turn around for a shotgun blast. And the arcane boots are still on cooldown for now, but the rest of his team arrives and he'll let the Aegis go out. So he goes into full life, and this means Puppey can't come anywhere near him.
AUI 2000 needs 5 mana to use the Mass Serpent Wards right now. I imagine he'll drop them
Dire's
immediately and
top
they'll start
tower is
pressuring
under
this
attack.
tower. There it goes. Go up here. Putting them in position so they're good at hitting.
Dire's top
Barracks
tower
here.
has
Syrian
fallen.
Chain's able to hit him, he needs a little more.
Dire's top barracks are under
I think
attack.
I was trying to just be a little bit more efficient there and not use all of his abilities to kill off the Enchantress. But the Stomp from Funnick tries to slow down the C9 push. The Massive once he set perfect position right in front of the melee racks.
Dire's top
Carlton
barracks
still in
has
range of the
fallen.
range racks as well. The full top racks of Na'Vi is now
Dire's top
lost.
barracks has
Kuro
fallen.
actually went for a denial.
Radiant's
of barracks.
bottom
Forced?
tower is under attack.
It's a very aggressive TP out. Is he wanting to go in on this one? He still sees Envy. The problem is you knew that was going to happen. He jumps down to the replica, so there was no point initiating in.
Now Shadow Shaman actually didn't go for the Blink Dagger, but finished the Aghanim Scepter, and this means the next push from Cloud9 is going to be even more explosive and just bring down the tower and
Radiant's
barracks
bottom
really
tower
easily.
is under attack.
Whatever hope Na'Vi had on the back of us, it just seems like their overall strategy and their laning, they lost too much in the laning stage. They really did. The Morphling had complete free farm. The Doom got a lot more than the Elder Titan. The mid lane went okay for Na'Vi, but that was kind of the only lane that they really won. And if you're picking an Enchantress as your second pick in the draft, I believe it was it the second pick? I think it was, right? No, it was the Marana, so it was the third pick. Yeah. So if you pick it as your third overall pick and you don't execute with it very, very early on, this hero generally doesn't have that big of an impact in the mid game. Yes, you can get an Axe Scepter and start dealing a lot of damage, but if the enemy cores have been farming and you're getting mediocre farm on the Enchantress, it just hasn't. I haven't felt the Enchantress pick be worth it at all this game.
He spent most of his early game just trying to make sure Havorst won the middle lane. Like we were there going,
Radiant's
hey,
middle
Havorst, like
tower
great
is
CS
under
up
attack.
against Sing Sing, but Sing Sing was also battling up against like Harpies, Tornadoes, Satyrs, all these different groups of Puppey.
And look how much he executed anyway. Look how much Sing Sing managed to accomplish in the game, even though he got countered early on.
He also got a lot of space up on that top lane. That big wait, the 2 minute to maybe even 3 minutes worth of waiting time around the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. Sing Sing had all the time in the world just to get free farm then too.
But I can completely understand that Na'Vi went for that play when they did, because they realized in the game position and what was going on, if they just sit back and let the game continue the way it had for the first 15 minutes, they would just keep getting further and further behind. But they never got the opening to actually get in on the tower. Sure, they managed to get it in the end, but they committed so much time and so many resources to it that it wasn't really worth it. And I guess the story of this game is just Cloud9
Dire's
are winning
middle tower is under
simply on
attack.
draining the map better. They've also executed better in the fights, I would say. This is why they have more kills, of course, but the main way they've won the game is just by putting smarter lanes, executing better in the early game, and just farming way better overall. And you just see Eternal Envy now on the net worth graph. He's almost twice that of the second hero, who is, by the way, also on his own team right now, the Ember Spirit. This is a very, very farmed Morphling.
Yeah. It's gonna get even better for C9 fans in a moment. Like when you get a full butterfly up and you've still got another 1800 gold behind you, your agility is going through the roof, which means your combo is also going through the roof. The Enchantress cannot survive even with a full Aghanim Scepter. And the same for Lina. Lina's made to finish up a full Aghanim Scepter on a level 13 Lina, but you've only got 1300 life points. That's not enough to survive up against a Morphling.
At this point for Na'Vi, I think it's not about surviving, it's about getting the opening. They have to one-shot Morphling. They need to commit, kill him off immediately, which they definitely can. Should they manage to catch Envy off guard with a Chrono, with Astral Spirit on top, and the Earth Splitter, and everything Kuro has, they can probably one-shot him. They need something to remove the Linkens for Kuro though, so it doesn't block the Laguna Blade, and they could probably do that with like an enchant or something from Puppey. And if they manage to do that, it's a very easy kill for sure, and then that could snowball into a fight for them. But I have this feeling that if they don't catch the Morphling, if he's not the one they initiate on, it almost doesn't matter who else they catch.
Look at Paladine. He's looking at 2 heroes. Both of them, and now we come for 7 as well. With the Hawk Stomp of off. The Chrono will go over on Paladine. The main catch helps to keep him alive in the Kuro. Getting emulated down the ball. They lose the Earthshake, but Slider Fist with the Battle Fury cleave, helping him out. The boss got war trapped outside. And this is just almost over for Na'Vi. The game done inside the rotation. GG. 33 minutes and just seconds, 21 to 9. Cloud9, in my mind, probably without the here. That was a very convincing win.
Great game one from them. They picked the heroes they were comfortable with, they got the lanes they wanted. Navi also got heroes they like and were comfortable with. It was a little bit of a different draft from them from what we've seen at this tournament. We haven't seen much Elder Titan, we haven't seen Lina at all.